As I speak, Chicago is getting purged, despite the fact that, of course, the mayor of Chicago wants to, you could say, stop Mr. T from cleaning out Chicago, but to no avail, of course. Yeah, all right, let's get right into it. So we are going to be seeing, and we are already starting to see, the collapsing of the entire beast system. And now that the Whiteheads are dismantling the cartels and exposing the trafficking networks, things are finally coming to pass and to fruition, right? The Great Awakening. So since the resurgence, of course, of Trump winning his second term, aligned force with the aligned forces that he works for, and the behind the scenes, of course, reorganization of military intelligence, the world has witnessed a silent war reaching its most critical phase, right? As we are now well into what is known as phase 4. This war isn't, of course, ever broadcast, right? It's real, guys. And, it is a war against the deeply entrenched trafficking networks, the cartels, and, of course, the corrupt governments that have allowed these activities to take place. And I believe that there's going to be about 19 cities just within the states that are about to get cleaned, which is, a very good thing. All right, so in Mexico, first and foremost, in Mexico, the Whiteheads have launched a series of high-stakes operations to cripple the drug and human trafficking cartels, and they are becoming very successful from what I hear. They're using what is known as advanced drone technology. So despite the fact that these cartels have their own militia and a few hundred men, right? They have their own army. They're weak compared to the advanced drones that are coming in and just taking them all out. And then after they take them out using the advanced drones, that's when personnel of the military alliance comes in to secure all the children and, of course, all of the innocent people that were part of the trafficking network, okay? And believe it or not, the Whiteheads are even using an AI-powered surveillance system to track a lot of the main, you could say, bosses within the cartel, and satellite imaging. They have been able to actually map cartel strongholds, monitor cross-border movements in real time, and conduct precision raids without warning. And unlike traditional methods, these high-tech strategies bypass local corruption and compromise law enforcement. So even the corrupt officers that have been paid off by the cartels have no match compared to the technologies that the Earth Alliance is using. They're also using thermal imaging drones that have been used to locate underground tunnels, spot mass movements in remote desert regions, and even detect human life signs in abandoned warehouses and vehicles. And sources close to the operation suggest that many cartel leaders have actually already been neutralized, while others are currently being interrogated under military jurisdiction for ties to the global transferring syndicates, right? Transferring of humans. So, though it's not yet acknowledged, of course, officially by the mainstream media, Trump's influence is already shaping a second-term agenda through a military-based task force that was actually formed in August of 2023, which was this month. And so this task force has made groundbreaking strides in child recovery and trafficking dismantling. Since August of 2023, which was, of course, 2 years ago, the Trump task force has reportedly located and rescued approximately over 28,000 little ones, missing little ones. These children were not just hidden. Of course, they were being processed through a highly organized criminal network that was being run by no other than, of course, Obama and Brandon. And all of that evidence is coming to light too, by the way, as to why I believe that Obama will be the first arrest, and then Killary, and of course, Billy Bob and Brandon. And so some were actually found chained. Some little ones were found chained in back rooms of sponsor homes, which sucks. And others were being held in abandoned warehouses in border states. Several were actually discovered en route to private airstrips ready to be flown overseas with falsified adoption documents. And this is no longer about isolating trafficking networks or events, my friends. This is the infrastructure of pure evil, right? Part of the beast system that has always relied on what? On fake humanitarian fronts, right? Like the NGOs funding programs and manipulated immigration policies to funnel human lives through a pipeline of profit and ritual abuse. So, thanks to the military grade cybersecurity protocols, investigators are now tracking the digital fingerprints that were left behind by these criminal organizations. Through NGO payment logs, cross-border communication, and satellite surveillance, a complete map of the trafficking network is now unfolding. And with the lifting of old bureaucratic restraints, even satellite-based tracking is now being used to monitor known trafficking corridors, many of which were deliberately left open under the Brandon humanitarian amnesty policy. Well, that's what they called it. And of course, former policies that masqueraded as compassion are all being revealed right now for what they truly are. Shields of criminal enterprises. It's all coming to light. And then, of course, you guys know of the sanctuary cities, right? Cities like Chicago, New York, San Francisco, and even Los Angeles, which proudly call themselves sanctuary zones. They're all at the center of a growing federal investigation as I speak, and this explains why the White Hats are actually using the military in what appears to be about 19 cities throughout the states. These cities are being scrutinized not for their rhetoric, but for their active obstruction of federal and trafficking efforts. And so these governments are now being exposed for harboring known traffickers, refusing to share data with ICE, obstructing federal operations, and covering up evidence tied to the missing little ones. So multiple city officials, including mayors like the lady from Chicago and city council members, are now facing federal indictments related to little one endangerment, aiding criminal networks, and obstruction of justice. So what does that tell you guys? That all of these city mayors and governors in these states were all in on it, okay? According to one military insider, that's where the problem is, according to them. They say that they're releasing public safety threats to the streets every day instead of cooperating with federal deportation. So with these officials now calling it, so what these officials called protection, right, for migrants has actually turned out to be the final leg of the trafficking pipeline, which is a traffic and shilling betrayal of public trust. And this is bigger than just saving the little ones, my friends, all right? Of course, that is a big, important part of it, right? Saving the little ones. So what began as a rescue mission is now actually evolving into something far even greater. This is not just about recovery. It's about exposing the entire beast system, a system that uses immigration as a smokescreen, governments as gatekeepers, and silence as a weapon. So the collapse has begun, and it's not just because of politics. It's because truth can no longer be hidden, especially as 3-Eye Atlas gets in close proximity to the Earth. So things are beginning to happen, right? The Earth as a whole is scheduled for the Great Awakening. The networks are being unraveled. And then those that once believed themselves untouchable are now the ones being, of course, taken out. And so it is important to know that, as revealed in my book, The Secret Government, You have two brotherhoods. You have the Luciferian networks, which are Cabal run, right? Descendants of Nimrod, Esau, Cain. And then you have the Brotherhood of Light, who has always been active throughout history, right? Throughout every major epoch, including Atlantean times, before and after the flood, all throughout human history, right? And they often work from behind the scenes, guiding prophets in ancient times, revolutionaries, and truth bearers. So, what makes it any different now that the forces of light are now in their final stage to bring about the Golden Age? In fact, their influence can be found in ancient Egypt, among the Essenes of the community of Qumran, within the mystery schools of Atlantis, and even more recently in spiritual movements that focus on liberation, unity, and inner transformation. So the Earth Alliance, though often viewed as a military of strategic force, has always deeply been connected to these spiritual centers or allies. And then together, they do form a multidimensional alliance that combines physical action on a 3D level with spiritual wisdom, okay, using both advanced, positive extraterrestrial technology and esoteric knowledge to bring about a shift in planetary consciousness. So the mission is beyond politics. Okay, it is essential to understand that the mission of the Earth Alliance transcends political ideology, national borders, and material interest. It is a cosmic operation, a confluence of forces from across the stars and the higher realms, all united by one singular purpose, and that is to free the Earth from the grip of tyranny and return it to its rightful place within the galactic community. So this mission involves obviously the exposure of hidden truths, the dismantling of dark agendas, and the reactivation of humanity's spiritual memory. So as the veil falls, my friends, more individuals are awakening to their roles as star seeds, grid keepers, and light workers. Souls who, like the Earth Alliance, came here with a mission to serve, uplift, and liberate. The Earth Alliance is not merely a group of generals or operatives. It is a convergence of humans, extraterrestrials, and spiritual lineages united in service to Source. Its connection to the Order of Melchizedek and the Brotherhood of Light has confirmed that the path forward is not just technological or political, it is a spiritual at its core. And as humanity awakens, many will come to see what is now unfolding at the end of the cycle, right? But the beginning of the birth of a new earth. That's what's happening. Guided by universal law, star wisdom, and sacred brotherhoods that have always believed in the sovereign right of every soul to be free. Now, let's continue with the Intel report. According to direct infrastructure reports, for those that doubt that the EBS is not real, according to direct infrastructure reports, telecom insiders, and defense contractors that are actually involved in the actual build out of the EBS architecture, the system is now fully operational. And it's not just a theory, my friends. It is real, it is active, and it is in the hands of the White Hats, okay? On August 25th, 2025, key developments have confirmed what many have long suspected. Everything is in place for a global military authorized release of suppressed information that will expose the full depth of institutionalized corruption, election, FRAUD, media manipulation, and systematic child transferring. The key infrastructure updates. The system has been transferred to military command, according to White Hat insiders. Command nodes are rerouted to hardened facilities so that the EBS primary control has officially moved from FEMA coordination centers in Cheyenne to Cheyenne Mountains. So there you go. The EBS primary control has officially moved from the FEMA coordination centers to Cheyenne Mountains in Colorado, and even Raven Rock in Pennsylvania. Ultra secure military bunkers designed to survive EMPs are there, cyber attacks and kinetic strikes. These facilities now serve as the central broadcast rallies for the emergency alert system. And then, of course, through Starlink satellites, which is now integrated for global resilience. Which means that in the event of an internet blackout or hostile interference, Starlink's space-based relays will take over. These satellites will transmit audio-visual emergency messages directly to civilian receivers, bypassing compromised ground networks and ensuring uninterrupted communication. And so they are testing for emergency override using the 5G infrastructure quietly as of August 18th, which was a week and a half ago. Tier 3 test signals were sent through the 5G towers in Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. They're just testing it, all right? Publicly labeled as seismic early warning test, these signals were actually authentication pings, part of a classified protocol tied to EBS emergency takeover capabilities. And there's also the final authorization logged coming from NORAD, Stratcom, which is the presidential code verified. According to this classified document on August 21st, the final 3-part authorization code generated by NORAD, the USS Stratcom, and the Office of the President was logged as live within the EBS framework. So the only place left is timing now. And these leaks will be revealing a historic information drop, one after another, through the data leaks and insider briefings. We now have confirmation of the initial EBS broadcast content, which includes certified video, verified materials that will shatter the mainstream narrative on multiple fronts. On January 6th, of course, there was an uncut surveillance footage with over 9,000 hours of Capitol footage revealing stage entries. Well, I guess this is one of the things that they're going to be revealing is what really happened on the 6th of January in 2020, if you guys remember. 9,000 hours of Capitol footage revealing staged entries, false flag agitators, and direct coordinations between select lawmakers and Capitol Police. And this is the evidence that Congress and the DOJ is currently suppressing, my friends. All right, so all of that mayhem that took place on the 6th of January 2020 was actually implemented by the deep state. And also, declassified documents from Operation Crimson Mist. These memos exposed the use of AI-driven psychological influence campaigns run in real time during COVID lockdowns and post-election unrest, weaponizing social media to trigger behavior responses in the public. And also drones and thermal footage of little one trafficking operations is planned on being exposed, with military-grade recordings of UN-accredited NGOs using unmarked white vans and off-grid airstrips to smuggle little ones, complete with thermal imaging and audio intercepts confirming complicity at the border. Also, what is scheduled to be released is intercepted election data transfers. Hard proof that on the 3rd of November 2020, election data from Georgia and Michigan was routed through unsecured foreign servers in Germany and Serbia. This evidence is chain of custody certified. Turn on the air here. And also Big Pharma, right? And censorship collusion is also scheduled to be exposed. Documents showing coordinated efforts between starts with the P, right? The company that rolled out that, SIR, right? Starts with the P, ends with the ZER. The CDC, of course, and PR giant Weber Shandwick to blacklist dissenting, practitioners that took the Hippocratic oath. You guys know what I'm talking about, like Western, revoke licenses and censor factual medical data during the 2019 plan, if you guys know what I mean. So all that stuff is scheduled to come out. All content that has been digitally watermarked, stored in redundant servers, and certified for legal release. Okay, all of this stuff is scheduled to come out. And so, from behind the scenes, the elite infrastructure that upheld the globalist agenda is now crumbling. All right, World Economic Forum has lost major backers. As of July 2025, the WEF lost 7 financial backers, including full divestment by Blackstone and partial withdrawal by Fidelity, citing upcoming sanctions risk related to crimes against humanity investigations. The IMF is now in panic mode. Okay, the International Monetary Fund held 3 emergency meetings just this month alone, guys, addressing a currency sovereignty crisis after the U.S. Treasury cut ties with them, right? Trump's team nationalizing the monetary issuance system under Executive Order 14272 on August 9th, which is still classified. But I was also informed that when Mr. P from Russia met with Trump in Alaska, one of the reasons why they were, in a meeting for several hours was because they were also activating what is known as GESARA. Okay, so on August 24th, 11 nations have already withdrawn from the international Plan de, if you guys know what I mean, right? Treaty, okay, that originally was forced through under Brandon's emergency powers in 2023. Nations are now citing fraud, coercion, and falsified data relating to, whether you are, you know what I mean, right? HEALTH. All right, so Starlink. Let's talk about Starlink real quick. No, before I talk about Starlink, also it was reported that a European major player by the name of Jean-Luc de Vries was taken out, right? He supposedly passed away, but we do know that the alliance took him out. He was known as the French health minister who was in cahoots with the plan of 2019. And of course, Dr. Doom, all right? Dr. Doom is also next. Official cause of this guy being taken out, that was part of that. They say it was a stroke, right? Insider sources say he was actually preparing to testify under immunity about covert mRNA testing in African nations during 2022 and 2023. So apparently he defected. He defected from Dr. Doom's team, right? And decided to testify, and that explains why he supposedly had a stroke. Makes a lot of sense, right? Also, the CIA station logs in Ukraine have gone dark. As of August the 19th, all CIA intel sharing logs in Ukraine have vanished. Well, this explains the takeout of Zelensky 2.0 with the replacement of Zelensky 3.0. Analysts suggest a rapid U.S. pullback from black budget bioresearch operations. Also, 2,000 plus sealed indictments have already been unsealed in Texas, Arizona, and Utah that were mostly tied to NGOs, money laundering, and foreign election interference. Many of these orgs were presented as charities, but funneled funds for illicit operations. Furthermore, Major food conglomerates under investigation also, like Nestle, JBS, are now being probed for WEF-backed subsidy abuse, including pushing synthetic meat, fake food, mandates, and sabotaging independent farms via forced ESG compliance. So this is the end game, my friends. The EBS is not a backup plan. It is the bigger trigger point for global awakening. And once it's fully activated, the EBS will bypass all the media, the Project Odin, bypass censorship, and broadcast directly to the public all the truths that have been buried for years. And this is not just happening here in the States. This is happening worldwide, okay? Every citizen, not just in America, but around the world, will have to confront what was actually done, right? What was hidden from us and what was traded and sold underneath our nose. So, this operation under military authority apparently began in 2017, my friends, when it was in phase 2, I believe, or phase 1, I'm sorry, and is now being completed as we are now well in phase 4. And so, yeah, it looks like things are actually moving accordingly. A lot of activities are happening this month, beginning with Chicago, 19 cities that are scheduled to be cleaned out. Now, I also want to go over some speculations that are circulating around the internet regarding the passing away of Mr. T. Okay, and a lot of this, of course, was because of a television series known as The Simpsons, who actually had access to looking glass technology. All right, well, we could say that over the past several days, and I've seen it in the comments, all right, there's been an increasing number of people that have began to speculate that something unusual is happening behind the scenes with Donald Trump, particularly concerning his health and the possibility of him passing. Well, these concerns are not purely based on observation of his public appearances or medical analysis, but rather they stem from a deeper layer of speculative insight, including symbolism, predictive programming, and hidden technology. Okay, so all roads tied to The Simpsons when it comes to these speculations, my friends. I'm sure you guys have seen it, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on Instagram, a video going around that Mr. T is going to have some health issue sometime in August, right? Well, we could say that The Simpsons, long known for its eerily accurate predictions, because, they were right in some cases, right? As when they predicted him coming down from the elevator, announcing him running for president before 2016. That was one of the episodes. Okay, so some of the episodes were actually correct. Okay, so this show has always been known for predicting the future. Okay, the show famously aired an episode that actually portrayed that on August 2025, Mr. T would have some sort of a heart attack. Okay, this was not mere coincidence or clever writing, but this is also rather a glimpse into a probable future, my friends. You have to understand there are different probable timelines. Okay, witnessing through an advanced technology known as the looking glass. So for you, those that didn't know, the writer of this show was actually had access to the looking glass. Okay, and that's the reason why some of the predictions have come to light, and some of them are still kind of airy. Okay, the concept of a looking glass technology, of course, for those that didn't know, it is rooted in suppressed knowledge, developed in secret through black budget projects, right? It is a device that was actually reverse engineered from extraterrestrial advanced ancient craft or ancient sources, of course. And it is claimed to allow people or those that have access to it to view various probable timelines in future events, okay? According to certain whistleblowers and researchers, The writers of The Simpsons had actually access directly or indirectly to this technology, right? How do you explain some of their predictions that came to pass, right? Granting them the ability to insert predictive scenarios into mainstream culture. So in this view, the episode depicting Trump, him passing away on the 25th or August 2025, is not fiction, guys. It is part of a probable timeline that could unfold under specific conditions, okay? However, this doesn't guarantee that the outcome will come to pass because there are many multiple timelines, okay, where he does pass away due to a heart stroke or a heart attack, and then he doesn't pass away in some cases, okay? Timelines are always shifting. Remember that. Timelines, by their nature, are fluid and influenced by collective awareness and key decision points. So some believe that public exposure to such predictions can actually be used to steer consciousness toward or away from these timelines, which is where predictive programming comes to play. So in the case of Mr. T passing away, right, in August of 2025, is just one probability. And the only way that probability could materialize is if they get enough people thinking that, if they get enough people to believe that, okay? That's the power of the collective, okay? So we have to go beyond the predictive programming. Right now, it's all speculation, okay? Obviously, if there was something wrong with his health, it would be all over the news, okay? It would be all over the news. And, you guys have to understand that predictive programming is the notion that media, movies, TV shows, music, international plan scenarios in the collective mind in order to what? Condition responses or normalize future events. So in the case of Trump portraying him having some sort of a heart failure, it's just a prediction. That's all it is, right? But it's also an attempt to align the public psyche with a specific narrative or outcome, right? They want enough people to actually believe that. So we could say that episode was being pushed by the deep state, okay? Because that's what they want. So why would such a program be necessary? Some of you guys might be thinking, well, because the figure of Donald Trump is more than a politician to many. Believe it or not, guys, he has a divine destiny to fulfill, all right? That explains why what happened in Pennsylvania, Butler, Pennsylvania, didn't come to pass. All right, he is seen as a disruptor of entrenched power structures, as a symbol of resistance against the old guard, right, which has been running this world for over 2,000 years. The reorganized Roman Empire, right? The deep-rooted elite networks that have maintained control over governments, finances, and media for decades. So predictive programming could be a psychological tactic to soften or shift public reaction in case something were to happen to him, okay? Despite the different attempts to take him out, right? Pennsylvania, at his golf course, and I think there was another one regarding his plane, right? That could have been booby-trapped. And constant public, of course, according to resources or insiders, there was multiple attempts besides those three. We could say that he continued to stand and he continued to go forward, right? And that is a fact which many interpret as evidence that he is somehow being used by God, right? To disrupt the old order, right? So according to these beliefs, Trump has a higher mission to fulfill, which is the dismantling of the old guard and the reformation of global power structures. His survival is no accident, right? The 3 attempts and all those other ones. It is, in this view, part of a carefully protected plan that extends beyond normal political ambition. And so some even claim that I don't want to say it like that. Let's just say it like this. In the event that something happened to the Trump that we see on the media, that we see in the White House, right? Um, as you guys know, that is the double, right? The real Trump is in Cheyenne Mountain. So even in the event that the double did have some sort of a ill health issue, okay, this doesn't negate the fact that the real one is well and alive, full of health, and operating from a base, okay? So it just wouldn't make any sense, okay? He would just be replaced by the original one. Think about it, all right? And um, overall, I believe that there's multiple doubles, multiple, you could say, versions of him. And one is a negative version. One is a projected AI simulated Trump. Okay. I want you guys to understand that there is a negative Trump, and that is the Trump that is aligning with artificial intelligence. Right. And should any of these doubles fall or pass away via some health issue, heart attack, whatever, always remember that the original Trump is being safeguarded and hidden from the public's eye. And he would always apparently be ready to step back and complete his mission. Okay. So whether one views this concept as compelling or far-fetched, I know some of you guys are probably thinking, how can there be multiple Trumps? Well, guys, you have to understand that every political figure, every famous person that has ever existed has been cloned or has doubles. Okay. And this goes back to Egyptian times. Well, technically, this goes back to Atlantean times. Okay. So whether one views these theories as compelling or far-fetched, the convergence of media symbolism, technological hidden technologies, rather, and political intrigue creates a narrative that resonates with a growing portion of the public. The Simpsons episode, case in point, right? The whispers of looking glass technology, which was very used by them, the writers of this show, and the notion of doubles and mission-driven preservation all point to one thing, Jedis, that the story unfolding around Trump may be far more complex than it appears on the surface, okay? In the end, the true nature of Trump's journey, right, his health issues, and I don't know if that's even real because it hasn't been announced by the media. And if you guys observe his speeches, the guy seems super healthy, all right? Anyways, for those that are paying attention, right, the signs suggest that we are watching more than just politics. We are actually witnessing a multi-dimensional chess game where timelines, programming, and cosmic missions are all intertwined. So I want you guys to understand that at the heart of this multi-dimensional movement, right, we have the Earth Alliance, which is representing 3D Earth, right? A coalition that not only includes white hat factions of Earth military and intelligence agencies, but also operates in direct cooperation with benevolent extraterrestrial races, such as Valiant Thor, Commander Corridor, Commander Cortec, Soltec, and so on and so forth. And also, the white hat military, which is Earth Alliance, is still connected to the ancient orders, right? It is still serving its purpose in these final days, dedicated to the service of freedom, truth, and universal balance. And so among these spiritual orders, for those that read my book, The Secret Government, it's all revealed there in detail, the history of the Earth Alliance, right? It's all connected to the order of Melchizedek and the original brotherhood and sisterhood of light, which is the secret benevolent orders that have actually guided humanity throughout the ages, okay? So while mainstream narratives continue to portray extraterrestrial contact as science fiction or conspiracy theories, insiders and whistleblowers have consistently revealed a more profound reality, that Earth is not isolated, but part of a vast galactic network, and that the Earth Alliance, in this context, is seen as the terrestrial arm of a larger galactic movement working to dismantle the control structures that have enslaved humanity for millennia. So these positive extraterrestrials that are working with the Earth Alliance, often referred to as the Galactic Federation, of course, on many channels, right? And originally they were known as the Galactic Federation, right? Before Enki's infiltration of the Galactic Federation and the Mitra and the Etorians in 2022. But now they are known as the Galactic Alliance, okay? They are said to include advanced races from the Pleiades, from Andromeda, from Lyra, Arcturus, and beings who operate from higher dimensions of consciousness, such as the Orma, the Carians, or the Blue Avians, who have overcome the challenges that humanity currently faces. And so their involvement is not just for conquest or control, right? This is regarding the Galactic Alliance. Their involvement is for guidance, healing, and the restoration of planetary sovereignty. So they all operate in harmony with what is known as cosmic laws. And their collaboration with the Earth Alliance is actually rooted in these shared values, right? The upliftment of consciousness, the ending of tyranny, and the activation of the human potential. So I want to mention that the Order of Melchizedek, throughout all of history, which is the priesthood and the priestess, the uncorrupted priesthood, that has always been associated with the Earth Alliance, have always been known as the guardians of divine wisdom. Okay, it is a uncorrupted priesthood that can be traceable back to Atlantis. Technically, that can be traceable back to off-world star nations such as Lyra. It has a cosmic origin. For those that have read my book, our cosmic origin, it's all revealed there. And again, guys, these books are available on Amazon. It is a must-read. This order, the Order of Melchizedek, has always represented a lineage of consciousness that transcends time, space, and dogma. It is not a religion, okay, but rather a spiritual office that has always been dedicated to anchoring divine truth and balance, not just on planet Earth, but across the entire universe. So members of the Order of Melchizedek are believed to be incarnated souls with a mission to assist planetary evolution. Their work is subtle, but it's also very powerful. They work from behind the scenes, embedded in sacred codes, healing the energetic grids of the earth, and preparing humanity for a leap into higher dimensional awareness. And so the Earth Alliance, in many interpretations, has always been aligned with the principles of the Melchizedek order. This includes upholding divine sovereignty, supporting spiritual awakening, and opposing any force, seen or unseen, that seeks to dominate or take away our freedoms. Alongside the Order of Melchizedek is the Cosmic Brotherhood, okay? Also known as the Great White Brotherhood. Not to be confused with any racial or earthly identity, right? It is the Brotherhood of Light and Sisterhood, because, again, only within these spiritual orders are women equally venerated. The sacred divine feminine is equally venerated with the sacred divine masculine, right? They call it the Sophia Christ union. So this brotherhood is a spiritual collective of ascended masters, angelic beings, and enlightened humans who have always transcended egoic consciousness and now serve as the protectors of divine freedom. And that explains, my friends, why at the highest echelons of the Earth Alliance network, we have these spiritual orders. We have we could say white magicians like Gandalf in the movie Lord of the Rings, like real spiritual masters that live for hundreds and hundreds of years, all right? They are a little bit beyond human, guys, okay? And in turn, these spiritual masters work, of course, with the positive races or the extraterrestrials that are aligned with the law of one and in service to others. Yeah, fascinating stuff, isn't it? For those that are just logging on, I decided to go a little bit early today because I have something that I need to do this evening. And so I couldn't go live this evening, but I still wanted to go live today because I just thought that it would be interesting due to the fact that it is Labor Day and you guys are home probably, right? You guys were all off from work, I hope. Or for those that work from home, it doesn't make a difference. But I figured that due to Labor Day, it would be okay to go live 2 hours prior. So that way I don't miss the live, and you guys get caught up with what's happening right now. Now, I do want to remind you guys that there is a beautiful product that completely detoxes your body from all nanoparticulates, the stuff that was coursed in 2019, right? All that stuff that they put in people's bodies, heavy metals, I almost said it, smart dust, parasites, and even gets rid of the radiation in your body, all right? This is a product that I believe in. It's holistic. There's no side effects. It's called Folium. A lot of the Galactic Jedis that have tried it are all seeing results, right? They're feeling better. They're sleeping better at night. For those that had illnesses such as stage 4C, if you know what I mean, they're seeing results. For those that have had growing things in their body, right? Rhymes with rumors, starts with a T, are seeing diminishing results, and among other things. So I just wanted to let you guys know that the link for this amazing detox, holistic detox, is always in the description, and I believe Starcadian always puts the link in the chat. Thank you so much, Starcadian, for putting the link in the chat. And there is something else that my lovey actually sent me that I wanted to share with you guys. As mentioned, she does a lot of research, and let's see, she does a lot of research, my friends. And so there's something that she shared with me that I wanted to share with you guys that was actually written. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him, but he's another digital warrior truther. He goes by the name of Paul White Eagle, I believe. Yeah, he goes by the name of Paul White Eagle. Paul White Golden Eagle. Thank you, Lovey. I appreciate that. And so I think it's interesting, and I wanted to share what, because what he says, it's so aligned with the information that I get from the Galactics and Commander Valiant Thor. So according to Paul White Eagle, who is another truther revealing intel, he said that according to sources, the reason we have not had, I guess, I don't know if it's this one. Is it this one? But, he says that the reason we have not had landfalling hurricanes this year is that President Trump's Weather Warfare Committee has destroyed land and sea-based HARP sites that the deep state had over many years, used to intensify tropical disturbances and steer them towards the U.S. coast. According to Paul White Eagle, August 30th, 2025, President Donald Trump has signed a military arrest warrant for Obama, Hillary, and Billy Bob, and 73 senior deep state officials. The charge is high treason against the U.S. government. These warrants, sealed under Operation Hammer, I am familiar with Operation Hammer, are scheduled for execution between September 3rd and September 7th. Now, this is according to Paul White Eagle, who is another truther in our community. Military intelligence confirms that cartel empires in Mexico are directly connected to three-letter agency that starts with the C, the biolabs, and the little one transferring routes. We've already known that. Again, a lot of what he shares aligns with a lot of the stuff that I shared, and that's why I wanted to share. So you guys can see it's coming from different people. It's not just coming from me. So he also shared that special forces are now mobilizing in Texas, Arizona, and California with orders to strike cabal-linked black sites across the border. He says that by mid-September, entire trafficking corridors will be dismantled, which aligns perfectly with what I said today. On August 28th, the integration of Starlink, the quantum financial system, and the Stellar blockchain was completed. For this first time in history, a secure and transparent global flow of gold-backed assets and information is operational. The QFS is ready for full activation once the emergency broadcast system goes live. Space Force cyber units have seized documents proving the three-letter agency starts with the C. MK Ultra successors were running mind control programs inside Ohio's foster care system, where little ones were transferred through CPS and used in biometric experiments. This evidence will be revealed publicly during the September emergency broadcast transmissions. On September 11th, just in 10 days, 2025, according to Paul, exactly 24 years after what happened on September 11th, 2001, right? Trump's military tribunals will declassify files proving that the Mossad, the three-letter agency that starts with the C, and NATO involved in a global, you could say, what happened, if you guys know what I mean, right? And so, as of today, more than $9.7 trillion have been frozen from cabal-controlled bank accounts, and these funds will be reallocated into Nasera and Gesera humanitarian programs immediately after the tribunals. Social Security veterans benefits and stolen pensions will be restored to the people. And again, I just wanted to share this with you guys, coming from another truther by the name of Paul White Eagle. And speaking of other truthers, I also recommend, and these are people that actually are also connected with the Earth Alliance White Hat military. I also suggest for you guys to check out the intel drops of the Shadow of Ezra. The Shadow of Ezra. Okay, the Shadow of Ezra is also a good source of intel. And the reason I share this with you guys is because, it's always good to see and to view things from different angles, all right, to hear different perspectives. So you guys could see how it's all aligning with what's actually unfolding on planet Earth at this time, right? So you guys can see that it's not just coming from me, it's also coming from other truthers that are apparently getting the same intel. So we are living in exciting times. Now, before I take Q&A, I do want to give some shout outs to the people. What's going on here? Oh, there I am. Okay. For a minute there, I thought my video was deleted. I couldn't find it. I see that Wolf Mother is in the house. Rosebud Atkins is in the house. David Essington is in the house. LW, Linda Winger, Aaron H, Starlight, Project Skyfalls. Stacy Marie Norton is in the house. Sarah is in the house. My brother Chriso Sufo is in the house. Pam.909 and Eddie K. What's up, Eddie K? Is in the house, and all 2,400 people that are in the house. And again, guys, I appreciate you guys coming on here a little earlier than usual. I have an event planned out this evening, so that's why I decided to broadcast 2 hours prior. So here we are. Happy Labor Day. And for those that are just jumping on, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And also don't forget to watch this on the replay. All right, so you guys know what time it is. It is about that time to take some questions at this time. And I just wanted to mention, guys, that I am so in love with my lovey. Okay, she is everything to me. She's a great cook. She takes care of me. The more I get to know her, the more I emerge with her, the more I get closer to her spirit. And I want to marry that girl. I hope to one day marry my lovey. And that'll be a galactic wedding made in heaven. So I just want to let you guys know that I'm so happy that, you are so welcome, honey. Not only is she the best cook in the world? She actually even cooks better than my grandmother, and I never thought that day would come. But she's very intelligent. She's always on it when it comes to research, the latest intel. While I'm over here trying to get transmissions from the galactics, she's on her phone checking out every resource, every link, listening to all the videos, trying to always be on top of things. So yeah, she's extremely intelligent. She's extremely gifted, and she just has so many gifts. That's why I picked her, and that's why I hope to marry her one day. And when that day comes, it'll be a galactic wedding. All right. All right. Let's take some Q&A. Let's take some Q&A. Sunshine Valentina is in the house. Will we come to the wedding? Of course, Sunshine. And I'll bring lots of cheesecake. Why not? I wanted to give a shout out to Sunshine Valentina. She's been a galactic Jedi for several years now, and she's been so supportive to my cause, me and my twin, my girly girl. So I just wanted to thank Valentina Sunshine, for all her support and everything that she does from behind the scenes. She takes my courses over and over. She's just full of love and full of Christ energy. She is a perfect example of service to others. So thank you so much, Valentina, for all the love and unconditional love and support that you give us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that super chat. This is a chat from James Foster. What's up, James? Thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you, guys. These super chats do help out. They do help out a lot. Even though I only get 70%, right? It's still okay because they do help out. So thank you guys so much. I also wanted to thank Jennifer Carter for her Zelle. And for those that didn't know, I do have a Zelle via my private email, projectrestorationzion@gmail.com. I just throw it out there for those that want to support my cause. Not mandatory at all. For the most part, I like to broadcast free intel, free information. My channel is free. Anybody could join. I don't have a Patreon. I don't charge for websites, nothing. So if it comes from the kindness of your heart and you guys want to support my cause, that is totally up to you guys. But I don't have none of that other stuff like other truthers do. All right, this is a question from my friend Chrisu. And Chrisu has been also not only always on the chat, but Chrisu has taken several classes with me. I know him personally. And that's the thing, guys. When you guys take an online course with me, it is in real time. It's not a recording. We get to interact, right? You get to ask me questions as if we are on a FaceTime call. So I get to know you on a deeper level. And that's why I know Chris. And Chris is asking, are the 12 Elohims the most powerful beings in all of God's creation? Will they have 144,000 DNA helixes? Apparently, like I said, he's been taking all my courses. So yes, the answer to all of that, my friend, is that yes, they have always been represented as the Council of 12 throughout every level of reality. Okay. And then the second part of his question is, and will be second in strength and power to the Most High Source. Yes, the Elohim, the 12, are second to Source. You have Source, and then you have the Council of 12 that surround the throne of grace. So they are second to Source, okay? The 12 mighty Elohim are also known as the universal archetypes, the most powerful beings in the universe. And technically, they always serve what is known as the hidden one, which is Source. Source is always the 13th. So from that perspective, yes, they are known as the Council of 13, because the 12, as indicated in the 12 apostles, the 12 tribes, the 12 houses of constellations, the 12 the 12 knights of the table, right? They're all symbolic of the original 12, okay, which are the 12 archetypes that serve the one infinite creator. And then beyond the 12, you have the Council of 24. and then the Council of Nine, the Council of Five. I mean, if you guys want to go deep into these celestial administrations, the infrastructure of the entire multiverse, take our Cosmic Origin. That class is totally cosmic, all right? That class is beyond any course you'll ever know, okay? Again, it is next level disclosure. Go to my website, ourcosmicorigin.com, and secure your spot because classes begin September 19th, 20th, and 21st. I believe that the Shadow of Ezra is on it's on X. I don't know if they have a YouTube channel, but if you go on X and you type in the Shadow of Ezra, spelled Ezra, that is another source of good intel. But yeah, I believe he's only on X. No, Mr. T did not pass. Um, I, you have to watch this from the beginning, okay? There is speculation that many people think that he's having health issues and that, according to a Simpsons episode, Mr. T is due to pass sometime this month. Guys, that is not correct. That is only speculation, right? We're dealing with multiple probable timelines. That did happen in one timeline, but that timeline was already erased by the Triple Temporal Alliance, okay? So no, Mr. T is not passing away this month. Don't buy into that speculation. Yeah, Trump is fine. Thank you for pointing that out, Sherry. All right, this is a good question. Unstoppable Jules is asking me, what are the similarities and differences between Elohim and Logos? That is a darn good question. Okay, so the Logos is prime creator, the one infinite creator, represented on different levels of reality through what is known as the central suns. So our universe has a central sun, and that is where the mind of our universe, Logos, resides. Our galaxy has a central sun, Ophiuchus. That is where the mind of our galactic Logos resides. Our super universe has a central super sun known as Orvanton. That is where the mind of the super Logos resides. And then the central motherverse also has a great, great central sun, which is known as the Isle of Paradise, where the primary Logos resides. So the Logos is represented through what is known as the central suns on every level of reality. Okay. Furthermore, Elohim, on the other hand, are the different functionaries that serve the Logos. And they're also different aspects of the Logos, okay? So that is the difference between the Logos, right? The Word made flesh, right? As indicated by the coming of the Christ 2,000 years ago. The Logos was Jesus made flesh, right? And the Elohim. The Elohim are different functionaries who serve the Logos. All right. I did get another super chat from David Essington. Thank you so much, brother. He's asking, did you know you and Monica and all the 144,000 will be married? There will be 72 twin flame weddings held in the New Jerusalem after Christ, Mary, and we all have twin babies for new gens, and that there will be no more incarnations. Well, yeah, that is correct. I've always talked about how this is our final incarnation. And this is the last body that we're going to ever embody. Now we are tasked with taking this body through the process of ascension and through immortalizing this body into the higher realms, okay? But as far as the 72 twin flame couples, that is correct. I did hear about that. Thank you so much for sharing, David. And yes, in the new earth, the 72 couples will be fully married once again, or basically reunited. Absolutely. Ishmael, do you know the names of all the 12 Elohims? Actually, yes, I do know the names. They are actually revealed in my book, Our Cosmic Origin. They're also known as the 12 overseers of the 12 major creations. Ishmael, do you believe in 13 zodiac signs? No. Well, the Ophiuchus, the central, the hidden sun is the 13th. It's always referring to the central sun, the great central suns, all right, on different levels of reality. The 12 are just what surrounds, all right? They are the ones that revolve, and they also, in a way, work and hide the hidden sun, which is the 13th. So, yes, I am familiar with the 13th. Please debate Billy Carson and Paul Wallace. Well, I've never heard of Paul Wallace. I've heard of Billy Carson. Well, I don't know. After being smoked by the Christian scholar, I forget his name. I don't think Billy Carson wants to ever do a debate, but it would be nice to have a discussion with him. You know, it would be the table of the minds or something. All right, Nathan Taylor, thank you so much for your super chat. How come we just did not send an assassin like Valiant Thor to take out Enki? Oh, that's a good question. Well, as revealed in the last chapter of my book, Our Cosmic Origin, Enki, upon infiltrating the Galactic Federation back in 2022, working with the Etorians and the Mitra AI signal, was left the scene through a portal, and he actually slipped into a parallel universe where he is hiding for about 1,000 years. And he's actually working with the AI overlord, Omega. And at the end of the millennium, not only are we going to have an opportunity to defeat Omega and his forces, but we're also going to have the pleasure of eliminating Enki. And that's the reason why Commander Valiant Thor and some of the Galactics don't take out Enki, because Enki, upon infiltrating the Federation, see, after finishing his task as ordered by the AI overlord who's in control of Enki, Enki immediately slipped into a parallel universe reality through a stargate. All right, that's what happened to Enki. So Enki's not in this universe. He slipped into an alternative parallel universe reality. And no, my friends, Enki is not returning. Okay, Enki already returned in 2022. And then he did what he did. He infiltrated the Federation, and then he left immediately after that because he knew that the Galactic Alliance would eventually arrest him. And that's the reason why he didn't stick around. All right, I have another question from Nitya Patel. Why are all gods brown-eyed, including Jesus? I've never heard of that before. I don't even know what colored eyes Jesus had. Nobody really knows, but it is speculation that if he does come from the line of King David, which I believe he did, that his eyes were hazel green, not brown. But that's just my personal belief. I think Jesus did have hazel eyes, geared towards green more so than anything. Okay. All right, let me tell you guys something. There are human representatives of these Anunnakis where fractals of the consciousness, fractal consciousness of these Anunnakis have inherited a human body. The fractals that are fractals of Enki's consciousness that are here are the Big Gates, right? Peter Thiel, and of course, Dr. Doom. All right, those are, and I believe also, what's his name? Zuckerberg. And believe it or not, even what's his name? Bezos. Okay, all of the major heads of big tech, they're all fragments of the consciousness of Enki, right? That's where they're pushing their technocratic dystopia. So when a being of that capacity incarnates, it actually needs multiple bodies. Okay, so fractals of Enki were left behind through his bloodline, through the Illuminati bloodlines, okay, through his son Marduk. And nowadays, the people that are pushing that, the Na, all of that, those are fractals of Enki's consciousness in human bodies, okay? But the primal Enki figure left into a parallel universe. And I'm actually going to go more into detail in my next book that I'm still writing. So, yeah, Bill, the big Gates, Peter Thiel, who built Palantir, and a lot of the big technocrats are all fractals of Enki. Nathan Taylor, thank you so much for your super chat. He says, how can we just... Oh, I've already read that. All right, let's see. Let's continue answering questions. Is there a difference between reincarnation and incarnation? This is a question from Kanda Trissel. Well, incarnation is when we descend from a denser avatar existing in a higher dimension, such as fifth dimension and up, and we descend into a physical body, a mortal physical body of flesh and bones. That's incarnation, all right? That's only supposed to happen once. We're not supposed to be trapped in the physical mortal body. We're supposed to reascend and reunite with our immortal bodies, right? Our galactic avatar and so on and so forth. Now, reincarnation, on the other hand, is when the soul keeps coming back to the mortal physical body of flesh and bones. That is reincarnation, right? That is the difference between reincarnation and incarnation, from a higher galactic immortal body into a mortal limited body. Thank you so much for the super chats. Rhonda Chance is asking, my late husband was a whistleblower for BP oil refinery in Texas City for child transferring. Where EBS happens, well, they're held accountable. They did away with him, but I have his records and files. Who can I give them to? Whoa, okay, that's sensitive information, Rhonda. I don't even know if I should have read that on here, but that is a very good concern. You know what? Maybe somebody's going to be contacting you as a result of watching my live, because I know that both the Earth Alliance and the other guys, I'm sure my life is being, viewed by both sides, right? But especially the Earth Alliance. So maybe as a result of me reading this in the public, thank you so much for the water, maybe somebody's going to be contacting you, right? All right. I have another super chat from Ravenclaw. So my 10M some of these words, anthoid glands, has gray eyes. Where might she come from? My 10M grands, okay, your grandmother's eyes, right, are gray. You want to know where she comes from? I don't know, Raven. I don't know. I can't really tell you where your grandmother comes from based on her eyes being gray. I'm sorry. I just don't know where gray eyes originated from. Somebody's asking me, what is 3-Eye Atlas? Okay, apparently they're new to my channel. Thank you so much for stumbling upon me. This is from Badass Friend. She's asking, what is 3-Eye Atlas? Well, I'll tell you what. If you watch my previous live, which was, 2 days ago, I went deep into everything you guys need to know about 3-Eye Atlas. So if you're new to my channel, which I think I get about 100 to 200 new subscribers a day, I would suggest that you guys watch all my lives for the last year, because there's a lot of intel that I dropped on these lives for free, right? They're all free. Just watch them.
I just want to say hello, all. Thank you for the blessings for our love.
Aww. Again, for those that are just jumping on, I decided to go 2 hours early due to an event that I will be attending this evening. So here I am on Labor Day. We have, a few minutes to go for more Q&A, and then I'll go ahead and end the live. I just didn't want to leave you guys hanging. All right. I want you guys to think, oh, what happened to Ishmael? He goes live every Monday. What's going on? Is your book or Cosmic Origin for sale anywhere? Yes, it's actually on Amazon. So if you type in Our Cosmic Origin by Ismael Perez, it comes up on Amazon. Or you can go to my website and click the link that directly will take you there. My website is ourcosmicorigin.com. Um, I appreciate you guys too. Thank you for that. All that love. I appreciate that. When did Phase 1 start? This is a question from Zero. Phase 1 began in 2017. If you guys could give me a second, I actually have to use the restroom. 1 second.